Why do some traders survive 20 years in this game, while others blow up in 20 days? It's not their strategy, it's not their indicators, it's not even their win rate. There's one rule, a silent rule. Nobody talks about it in trading courses, no YouTube guru puts it in a thumbnail. But every single trader who's made it long-term obeys it religiously. And the traders who ignore it, they don't just lose money, they lose themselves. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what that rule is, why your brain is wired to break it, and how the traders who protect it end up on the other side of the market from everyone else. Stick with me till the end, because point 4 is the one that separates the amateurs from the professionals, and most people never even realize they're doing it. Let's get into it. Point 1. The rule is protect the capital before you chase the profit. Sounds simple, right? Almost too simple to be the secret. But here's what nobody tells you. This rule isn't about your stop loss. It's not about position sizing. Those are just the symptoms of the rule. The rule itself lives somewhere deeper, in your identity. Think about it. When you open a trade, what are you really doing? You're placing a bet on uncertainty. And human beings are terrible at sitting with uncertainty. Our brains crave resolution. We want a knee, win or lose, right now, immediately. This is called the need for cognitive closure, a psychological term for our discomfort with ambiguity. And in trading, that discomfort is the enemy. Because the moment you can't tolerate not knowing, you start making decisions to relieve your anxiety, instead of decisions that protect your capital. You move your stop loss just a little. You add to a losing position because it has to come back. You exit a winning trade 5 minutes in because you can't stand the tension of watching it float. None of these are strategy failures. They're capital protection failures. And the traders who last decades, they've made peace with not knowing. They let the trade breathe because they trust the rule more than they trust their emotions in the moment. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you broke your risk rule because you couldn't tolerate the discomfort of a small loss? That discomfort was never really about the money. It was about control. And in trading, chasing control is the fastest road to losing it completely. Point 2. Discipline isn't a feeling. It's a structure you build before you need it. Here's something almost every losing trader has in common. They think discipline is a personality trait, something you either have or you don't. That's a myth. Discipline is not a feeling you summon in the heat of the moment. Nobody sits there mid-trade, heart racing, account draining, and suddenly discovers willpower they didn't have 5 minutes ago. That's not how the brain works. When you're emotionally activated, when fear or greed floods your system, your prefrontal cortex, the rational, decision-making part of your brain, essentially goes offline. This is sometimes called an amygdala hijack. Your more primitive, reactive brain takes the wheel. And that primitive brain does not care about your trading plan. It cares about survival, right now, in this second. So the traders who never break the rule aren't superhuman. They're not calmer than you by nature. What they've done is remove the decision from the moment of maximum emotion. They built the structure before the trade, the exact entry, the exact stop, the exact size, when their mind was calm and rational. By the time emotion shows up, there's nothing left to decide. The rule already made the decision for them. This is why journaling your rules on a calm Sunday afternoon feels so easy, and why abandoning them at 10:47 a.m. on a red candle feels almost involuntary. It's not a lack of discipline. It's a lack of pre-built structure. If you're relying on willpower in the moment, you've already lost. The professionals win the trade before they even click the button, because they built the cage around their own impulses in advance. Point 3. Your losses aren't the problem. Your story about your losses is. Let's talk about something deeply uncomfortable. The way your identity gets tangled up with your P&L. A losing trade, by itself, is just data. It's neutral. The market moved, your setup didn't play out, that's it. But watch what most traders do next. They don't just register the loss, they attach a story to it. I'm bad at this. I always mess up breakouts. Maybe I'm just not cut out for trading. This is called rumination in psychology, replaying a negative event over and over, searching for meaning that isn't there. And rumination doesn't make you better, it makes you more fragile. Because now your next trade isn't just a trade, it's a referendum on your self-worth. And when a trade becomes about your self-worth, you stop making rational decisions. You start revenge trading to prove something. You oversize the next position because you need to feel confident again. You break the silent rule. Protect the capital first, because your ego has hijacked the wheel from your discipline. Traders who last decades have done something specific here. They've separated identity from outcome. A loss is not a verdict on who they are. It's simply the cost of doing business in a probabilistic game. Ask any professional poker player, any surgeon, any professional athlete. They all lose sometimes, badly, publicly. But their identity doesn't collapse with the result. That emotional separation, often linked to what psychologists call emotional regulation, is not a soft skill. In trading, it is the entire skill. The moment you can look at a loss and say, that was a good decision that had a bad outcome, instead of, I failed, you've crossed into a completely different category of trader. Point 4. The real reason people break the rule, even when they know better. This is the point I told you about. Pay close attention, because this is where most people lie to themselves without even realizing it. Every trader who blows up an account knew the rule beforehand. They knew about risk management. They'd read the books, watched the videos, nodded along. So why did they still break it? Because knowledge and behavior live in two completely different parts of the brain. Knowing a rule is intellectual. Following a rule under pressure is emotional. And when those two systems conflict, emotion wins almost every single time. This is one of the most well-documented findings in behavioral psychology, the gap between what we know and what we do under stress. There's also something called present bias, our tendency to overweight immediate rewards and underweight future consequences. In the moment, breaking the rule feels good. It feels like relief. It feels like hope. The account damage is a future problem, and your brain, in that instant, doesn't care about future problems. It cares about the discomfort happening right now. This is why just know your risk rules is useless advice. Professionals don't out-know the amateurs. They out-structure them. They remove the moment of temptation entirely. Automated stop losses, fixed position sizing, hard daily loss limits that lock them out of the platform. They don't trust their future self to make the right call under pressure. Nobody should. That's not weakness. That's self-awareness. The traders who never break the silent rule aren't the ones with the most willpower. They're the ones humble enough to admit they don't have unlimited willpower, and they built systems that don't require it. Point 5. Consistency is boring on purpose, and your brain hates that. Here's the last piece, and it might be the most underrated one. The traders who survive long-term are, frankly, boring. Same position size, same process, same rules. Day after day, month after month. No fireworks, no dramatic comeback stories. Just quiet, repetitive execution. But your brain isn't built for boring. It's built for novelty. This is tied to dopamine, the neurochemical linked to anticipation and reward. Big, risky trades spike dopamine in a way that slow, consistent, rule-based trading never will. That's exactly why oversized hero trades feel so magnetic. They're not a strategy. They're a chemical craving disguised as conviction. This is also why so many traders sabotage themselves right after a winning streak. Success feels good, and feeling good makes the brain crave more of that feeling. So they increase size, loosen the rules, chase the high. Psychologists sometimes describe this pattern as related to variable reward reinforcement, the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. Unpredictable wins are more compelling to the brain than steady, predictable ones. The traders who never break the silent rule have essentially made peace with being unimpressive on the outside while being extraordinarily consistent on the inside. They've decoupled trading from entertainment. For them, a good trading day isn't a big win. It's a day where the rule wasn't broken, regardless of the outcome. That mindset shift alone, measuring success by adherence to process instead of the size of the win, is the quiet, invisible divider between traders who last 20 years and traders who disappear in 20 months.
The takeaway. So, here it is, laid out plainly. The silent rule isn't a stop-loss percentage or a risk per trade number you copy from someone else's spreadsheet. The silent rule is this: protect your capital and your composure before you protect your ego. Every point we talked about today, tolerating uncertainty, building structure before emotion takes over, separating your identity from your outcomes, admitting you can't out-willpower your own brain, and accepting boring consistency over dopamine-driven excitement, they're all just different expressions of that one rule. The traders who last aren't smarter than you. They're not luckier than you. They've simply stopped negotiating with themselves in the moment of pressure. They decided the rule once, calmly, and then let that decision protect them from every version of themselves that shows up when things get emotional. If there's one thing you take from this video, let it be this: the market doesn't punish bad strategies nearly as often as it punishes broken discipline. Fix the discipline, and the strategy has room to actually work. If this gave you something to think about, take a second and subscribe to The Inner Edge, because we're not here to sell you a system. We're here to help you understand the mind that has to execute it. New videos on trading psychology drop regularly. And if today's silent rule hit home for you, you're exactly who this channel was built for. I'll see you in the next one.